Okay, just drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. We got a weird one today. Drop in the live chat if you think you could guess what this weird warning that's just come out for all of us as citizens is. And I got a couple of props to help you guess here. This is a really weird one today that we've got. So we're going to talk about, let's just check everyone's in the stream. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to talk about this weird warning that's just come out. And then we're going to talk about let's get to it. We're going to do this in reverse today. We're going to talk about the new US commitments to get rid of coal along with 56 other countries. You should see these plans. They are so wild. Journalists have been asking how exactly they're going to do this with the winter base load. And they said, stop asking the wrong questions. Right, if that's the wrong question, goodness me. I think I realize why the warning. Okay, everyone's in the stream now then. So here we go. Here's a little clue. We're being told to stock up on these things. Candles. I can't believe I'm saying this. Candles and a torch, or what you might say a flashlight. And all the military people right now are looking at this and saying, I know exactly what that is. That is, Neil, that you've got there. Right, so we're being told to stock up on torches, flashlights for the Americans, and candles and wind-up radios. Yes, this is not a wind-up, shall we say. Okay, let's get into all of this then. Let's get on to the shared screen here. And by the way, the studio is still being built. We are a work in progress. Thank you for the feedback yesterday. I've moved my on-air sign up there so it's not on the table. I've moved my logo to the other side so it's not behind me here to the, where am I pointing? Yeah, there we go, to there. And I'm making changes as we go. I'm altering the sound, recabling tomorrow. So with about 30 minutes each day, an hour each day, it's time consuming. Right, let's get into the first warning then. So we'll begin with the UK stuff, and then we'll go to the USA, and then we're going to jump back to the UK. So here's the first one then from the Independent. Stock up on torches and candles in case of power cuts, Deputy PM warns. Brits should be more resilient. Now, the irony of this statement, I don't know if you've seen this guy talk, but we used to have an expression of a wet blanket, and that's what this guy reminds me of. He's probably the least resilient person I have ever heard talk on TV, and he's telling everybody else to be more resilient. I mean, the irony of that already is amusing. So this is what he said. He's warned the public they should buy candles, torches, and battery-powered radios in the event of a crisis, cutting power supplies. Why exactly is this coming out, and why is it in all of the media, is the question you should be asking yourself. The senior Tory cabinet minister said Britain should be more personally resilient, as he suggested they were just too dependent on devices activated by the internet. Cyber pandemic, anybody? Does that, what have we just had? We've just had the annual cyber attack thing by the WEF, Cyber Polygon, which, by the way, they don't even talk about that anymore. If you go on, let's see if we can do this. Cyber Polygon 2023. Let's see if we can get this up. Okay. I just want to prove this to you why we are live here. So you want to go and you want to see all about Cyber Polygon. They're not even showing it anymore. Look at this, how it was in 2021. They're not even doing it for the public. Here we go. Professor Klaus. We all know about Professor Klaus. You can't even find anything on this anymore. You go to the platform. You've got to be registered now. So before you could find all of this stuff out, and now you can't even find it, which is very unusual if you ask me. So what's he saying then? A National Resilience Academy will be launched to help people and businesses prepare for I mean, this looks like a statement to me, doesn't it? More than anything else. Future pandemics, natural disasters, and cyber attacks. Oh, here we go. What's Rishi saying? Rishi's deputy announced the plans in the Commons, claiming the new academy will help the whole of society prepare for major risks. Drop in the comments, what do you think these major risks are? He's also suggested that people should stock up on battery-powered radios and torches, as well as candles and first aid kits to prepare for power cuts or digital communications going down. I'm sure I talked about this a while ago, and I said you'll start to see these warnings coming out from politicians and the media and everybody else about these potential blackouts, these cyber attacks, your devices going down, the internet going down. And then save this, please. On a Friday afternoon, remember the Great Depression Diary series, exactly what happened and what happened prior to that. Friday afternoon, some mysterious attack takes place. Someone rushed the banks and now you can't get your money out. And then what's Monday? It's, of course, a bank holiday Monday. That's where it all originated. And, it's a mystery. No one can get their money out of the banks for 2 years. That was the Great Depression Diary series I did. So this is very interesting when we start to look at these things. We start to look at these patterns and we look at the central bank digital currency, which I still think Friday afternoon, someone's done a cyber attack on the banking system. We can't access your money. It was all digital, of course. No cash because it's outlawed eventually. And you can't get your cash. You can't get your money. Sorry, we don't know what was on that screen. Your numbers on that screen on your smartphone or your laptop or something. We don't know. We don't have any paper records, so we don't know what was on there. This is what I think is coming, by the way, with all this cyber pandemic and attacks and everything else, cyber polygon. This is where I think this is leading, because what do? They do preparations beforehand. Was there anything else I wanted to cover on here? This is the gentleman. No, that's it for this one. But BBC's picked up on it as well. A lot of these media outlets. Volunteers to be trained to help response to national crises. Not a national crisis, national crises. And then look how they've tagged it, by the way. Yes, that's how they've tagged this. So that gives you another little insight. They usually make a mistake when they put tags on and then they remove them. Or they even just remove articles altogether when people start figuring stuff out. Earlier this year, the government published a register of the most serious threats facing the country, which included another pandemic and extreme weather. Well, we know all about the extreme weather. They've done a policy paper then. This is a Resilience Framework 2023. So this was just updated a couple of days ago. It's worth having a read of all these documents. The URL is above, or you can just do a search for it and you'll find it quite easily. We go over to the Telegraph then, and cyber attack will leave you needing these analog items. We've already talked about a few of these. These are all the things that he is suggesting that you are going to need, because you're not going to have digital devices and it'll take you back to an analog age. Now, it's quite interesting that this is coming out at the moment, because my wife and I were only laughing about this 2 or 3 days ago. As you know, we've moved into the annex, shall we say, of our main property. You've probably been seeing on the Patreon community or whatever else, the whole renovation of this. It's a year in. We've still got another year at least to go. But we finally got into the annex part. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make here. And we've been getting all the electricity or the rewire. We've been getting the internet put in. So I needed a hard line. I needed really fast internet for all the work I do and the streaming and everything else. And the other day, the Wi-Fi, there was an issue. The Wi-Fi went down. And my wife and I were sat there at about 8 o'clock at night. And normally, we might read a book. We might watch some sort of a TV series. We don't have a TV, but we might watch something on a laptop, you know, a documentary, something like that. And it was just funny because if you've ever been through this, we sort of said, we've got no electricity, we've got no Wi-Fi. What shall we do with ourselves? Can't exactly read the book. Got a Kindle on here, so I said, I'll read my Kindle. But it was interesting because we did actually go through that a couple of days ago, and it was a weird experience. If you live in, you know, South Africa and you used to load shedding and stuff like that, you know what I'm talking about here. It is a weird experience the first time that happens. But I remember as a kid, the power would go out all the time. There'd always be electric cuts all the time. And if you remember, you had to reset the hot water boiler, and you had to go and do all these sort of things. It was pretty common. Just checking the chat as we go, see if anyone can relate to some of these things. But let's get back on to, let's move on actually. Government catastrophe. Yeah, I've highlighted some of the keywords here, but you can read some of these stories if you like. Let's move on to the US at this point then. Let's go over to the US. And they have committed, not are thinking about, they have committed to phasing out coal in major climate breakthrough. I don't know if that's the right word here. Breakdown, perhaps. If they're going to get rid of all of the coal and all the coal plants. I'm not exactly sure what their plan is here, because I did a little bit of research. We'll go on to these stats in a moment. And yeah, the US Special Envoy, John Kerry, he's announced the Powering Past Coal Alliance, which means the Biden administration commits to building, okay, key here, no new coal plants and phasing out existing plants. They are, and here's the problem. I want to share with you the problem with all of this and why I think they're going to have a big issue here. We'll come on to that in a second, as long as I don't forget the key point. But this is the climate analyst, Alden Mayer, of the European think tank E3G. I've never even heard of this. I had to even look into this. What do they do? Don't ask how they're funded, by the way. So they're the world leading strategists on the political economy of climate change. Those two words should not go in the same sentence. Let's just throw that out there right away. Political economy of climate change, to make the climate safe for all. Yeah, if you want to have a read of this, knock yourself out. It's nothing exciting. So just under 20% of US electricity was powered by coal, according to the Department of Energy. The amount of coal burned in the US last year was less than half what it was in 2008. Sort of. The statistics don't say that, and a lot of the data online. But anyway, let's just go with what they are saying. And then they talk about 211 pounds of heat trapping carbon dioxide per million BTUs versus natural gas 117 pounds, petrol 156 pounds, etc., etc. So they go through all the data of this. But if you actually go on to the US Energy Information Administration, you start going over their back data. Why exactly they're saying the back data is not available on some of this stuff and whatever else, I think I can guess, but I don't want to speculate too much. So highlights for 2022, let's just have a quick look at some of the stats then. US coal production increased 2.9% year over year to 594 million short tons. The average number of employees at the coal mines increased by 4,000 people. So they've been saying that they've been reducing it over the last year. They've been reducing all this stuff. That's not what this data says. Up to 43,500 employees. US coal mining productivity is measured by average production per employee, decreased 9%. So that's also a negative thing. It's decreased the productivity. That, if you look at that, as technology advances, as energy advances, this should increase. Productivity should increase. That says to me they're finding it harder to find coal. Drop in the comments if you work in this industry and if you have a different thought to that. But that's what that says to me. If you are decreasing by 9%, that is a big decrease in efficiency or productivity or per employee hour. I can't see it. It could be something to do with the wage, but Yeah, drop in the comments what you think there. US coal consumption decreased 5.5% from 2021 to 515 mmst. The electric power sector accounted for about 91.7% of the total US coal consumed in 2022. Read that again, look at it. 91, and that wasn't a Joe Biden reading from this teleprompter. Read that again. Look at this, 91.7% of the total US coal consumed in 2022 was used by the electric power sector. So they're going to get rid of all of this. They're going to get rid of all the coal power plants. Good luck with this. This is going to be interesting. There was a 58.8% increase from 2021 in terms of sales price. And then you can see US coal production by rank here. And again, you can go onto the EIA.gov if you want to look at some of this stuff. Because sometimes you get some strange people on these streams and they say, oh, he's just made this website. He's made the website and he's made the pie charts. He's made all this data up. No. I mean, you've got to be pretty out there to believe I've got that much time. But just go onto these websites. You can see the URLs. Just go and have a look. So you can see all the data on this. There's tons of data. Go through, have a look. It doesn't match what the media is saying at all. We look at the electricity in the USA as well. 3 major categories for energy generation: coal, natural gas, and petroleum. That is where electricity generation comes from. This is why I had the electric car enthusiast go crazy at me when I said, your energy for your car is not coming from a windmill. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's coming from a coal fire plant. People went crazy in the comments about that. But I'm sorry, it's true. It's true for a lot of this energy not all of it. Some of it is renewable, but a lot of it is from coal, right? So then where else does it come from? Nuclear energy, renewable energy sources. Yes, there is some of this. Most electricity, again, this is the EIA.gov website. Most electricity is generated with steam turbines using fossil fuels, nuclear, biomass, geothermal, and solar thermal energy. It's on their website. Other major electricity generation techniques include gas turbines, hydro turbines, wind turbines, and solar photovoltaic. So you can look through all of this. You can see natural gas, look at that, 40%, coal, 20%. You can see all the data. It's all on their website here if you are interested in going through this. Some people will have a bias against what I'm saying, so they just won't want to go through and look at all this, but each to their own. And then again, same sort of thing. CNN is covering it. The IEA is saying that natural gas is now stronger than ever, and it's probably due to the cost. Hold on, I'm guessing it's the cost here. Natural gas got almost half of US electricity. I would assume it's due to the cost or the readily available supply of natural gas in the US. Yeah, here we go. So lower natural gas prices are driving down the switch from coal. So actually, they're switching from coal anyway with the natural gas, but they don't like actually getting the natural gas and the fracking because of the methane release and everything else. So you got these situations as well. But that's not the biggest problem. And again, what are we looking at? The New York Times here. The US has billions for wind and solar projects. Good luck plugging them in. Yeah, why? And that's a wind turbine, by the way. That's how much concrete gets poured in to wind turbines. Plans to install 3,000 acres of solar panels in Kentucky and Virginia are delayed for years. Wind farms in Minnesota and North Dakota have been cancelled. Programs to encourage Massachusetts and Maine. The Americans are laughing now. It's one of those words you never use as a Brit. And Maine, residents to adopt solar power are faltering. And if you go through and read the article here, you'll see they can't get all of this connected to the grid. The delays are years long, 10, 15 years. And people say, yeah, well, Neil, that's just the US. No, it's everywhere around the world. You look at the UK, renewable energy projects with billions are also stuck on hold. Look at this, 10 to 15 years to be connected to the grid because of a lack of capacity. So they've put the cart before the horse here. they've done this massive rush for all the virtue signaling, and so they can go to COP28 and everything else, which I'll probably talk about tomorrow, by the way. Last year's video was crazy successful. I think it got 250,000 views or something, last year's review of COP28. I don't expect that this year. I think they probably got that very heavily censored on YouTube. So anyone that puts COP28 is probably going to get no views, and then whatever media outlet they want is going to get all the views. But I'll try and cover COP28 tomorrow. But the issue is they've focused all this investment and grants and everything else on all the renewables. But it's as if they've sort of forgotten that they need infrastructure behind it. I mean, how exactly you can do that, I have no idea. Surely the plan would have, unless they were so focused on just getting all of this stuff built as opposed to actually connecting it all. I'm really not sure. I mean, to me, this is baffling. You would obviously go through all this if you were project management based. You would do all this. So I'm not exactly sure how on earth this has occurred, but it is. And the UK, look what they've got. 2035 target for 100% of its electricity to be produced without carbon emissions. Well, again, that is very misleading, because how do you create wind turbines and solar and transport the panels from China and whatever without creating carbon? So yeah, okay, once it's installed, there's no carbon, I guess they can say. But it's all throughout Europe. I mean, it's throughout Europe. There are hundreds of billions. It's every single country, by the way. This is not just one country. It's every country. I don't know if there's a single country, I'd have to do a bit more research, that has figured this out yet and has gone all out gung-ho with all the creation of the renewables, but then they've remembered to do the infrastructure at the back end. I haven't seen any yet. All of these projects, Europe, UK, USA, Canada, they've all got the same issues. It's baffling to me, but there we go. Let's see if there was anything else I wanted to cover off here. I think we've covered a lot of it. Yeah, in fact, I think we've probably covered most of what I wanted to go over. I mean, it's just a weird thing. So, ladies and gents, make sure you've got your candles. Make sure you got your torch or your flashlight ready for all of this stuff. It's going to be a wild ride. And remember, make sure you got your bank statements printed out so that you've got a record of everything. Make sure you've got all your accounts printed out. Because remember what happened to me with the bank that cancelled my accounts and then said I didn't have an account in the first place. Well, luckily for me, I was able to show evidence and they wanted to take the folder. No, I don't think so. And then I learned another lesson: have a backup folder, not just one folder, have a backup folder somewhere else. Yeah, you never know with these things. All right, good. Thanks for being online. Thanks for being subscribers here. Take care. God bless you. God bless your families. I will see you tomorrow now, as long as we don't have any more issues with Wi-Fi and power and everything else. So apart from that, take care. See you tomorrow.